Alrighty, we're live. Hello, dear Starshines. Welcome to another edition of the Lunchtime Chats. I'll give everybody a minute to get on board. For those of you who are watching the recording and are new, my name is Christina, and I am a consciousness acceleration expert. We are here to talk about those topics and issues that are significant for our starseeds, way showers, and new paradigm visionaries. We're encoded in such a way where we perceive and experience the world around us very differently than the larger human family. And so we have a very unique perspective to what we see going on in the world. So I am here to share with you, to the best of my ability, a liberated perspective to those pieces that are hanging us up and perhaps getting us, inviting us into that downward spiral of confusion, of maybe despair, or even a loss of how to maintain autonomy and sovereignty. So this is an amazing, complex, chaotic, miraculous reality that we're walking right now, and change is afoot on so many levels. And that is not to happen without intensity. That's not to happen without suffering. So, so I am here, you are here, the way showers, the new paradigm visionaries. We are here to anchor in the new as we watch all those old structures crumble from our lives, both personally and then, of course, collectively as well. So welcome, everybody. Hope all is well with you guys. It may be intense, but hey, you're breathing, you got up out of bed. That's something to be grateful for. Hello, dear sister Bev. Glad to see you. Hey, Carol. Nice to see you guys. So, I've been in a bit of a bubble myself because the overwhelm has been really, really intense. So I think all of us are finding what our threshold is when our overwhelm is turning into something that is just that's deepening our suffering, deepening our pain, which means that bar of discernment is getting lifted. That bar of discernment needs even more fine tuning as we step forward into this time of chaos and change. And today I want to talk about a few things. So last week I talked about AI and the idea that's given to us by the star nations, that AI is not necessarily separate from source, but the kind of predatorial AI that we have that in our terrestrial technical landscape, it's intrepidous. It's not something that has graduated into a benevolence in the sense that it seeks only the truth, or its purpose is to be aligned with truth, and aligned with awakening humanity to the truth of who they really are. So we went into that, and there was quite some interesting comments. Many of you the feedback was that, now this is a new way of thinking about it. This is a new thought. And my spidey senses, my nervous system says to proceed with caution. That's the overarching feedback. And some other feedback that was secondary to that was a lot of people know it's a big deal, but they never use it. So they have no idea how to comprehend what the pitfalls are, because they live their life as they always have been before these technologies. So I'm going to touch on some of that and then elaborate a little bit more about signs about being manipulated, signs that you're being farmed out for your emotional energy, or being farmed out for what kinds of impulses, reactions, actions you're going to take in response to certain stimuli. This is a huge, huge piece. And also included all that, I need to specify that in the here and now, we already have the artificial reality versus what some would consider the natural reality. Now, artificial automatically brings with it this idea that something is separate from source, abomination, this kind of thing. But how I want to use it in this context is, there is a reality that we experience when we're online. Okay, there's a reality that we experience when we do online research, depending on the algorithm you use, depending on the search engine you use, right? There is an experience online that portrays a certain dominant idea about things. But when you're away from the online world and in the actual reality, it may not be like that at all. The problem is that now we create assumptions and beliefs based on the research that we did online, and we're not as open to actually perceiving what actually is in front of us. So this is an important piece for us to tune into as a collective, because as you guys are aware, the chaos machine is going overtime. Doesn't matter like for example, the politics. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle, left, right, center. There is massive chaos going through all these channels, and it's all triggering pretty significant emotional responses, outrage, indignation, all sorts of things like this. And I feel like PTSD is being brought to the surface in a highly accelerated way right now. I know this is so in my personal existence, and it could be, that I see that happening in the collective because that's my personal existence. That's true. And what I would add to that is that because my awareness is heightened to what happens to me and how I think and behave, and certain things that happen when my PTSD is triggered. When I'm having those more calm sides, when I'm working it through and reaching a place of being centered again, I'm in observance of the people around me. Our nervous systems are also tweaked. So there is so much happening as we wake up to these other realms of our consciousness. This surfacing, this really intense, fast and hard surfacing of PTSD is one of those things. And I've been, guided in different ways on how to deal with this. And one of the main things that keeps getting stated to me is that it's important to employ many different ways, new ways that perhaps I had an aversion to before, ways that maybe I thought was too far away for me to actually do. It's like there's an encouragement to explore many, many different ways to help regulate, release, and transmute the intensity and the repercussions of this PTSD. As you guys know, PTSD, or maybe you don't know, but PTSD is actually inherited. So think of all of the wartime that we've been in, our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents. I mean, we're talking in the US, we're talking about, there's the Middle East conflict, the Iraqi Kuwait thing, even more recently in the 90s, but the Iraqi Kuwait thing was a pretty significant event, as well as covert operations that were going on in Central and South America. I only know that because I was actually there while in those in the regions while on military bases when teams were getting deployed. I've never heard about anything like that on the news. And then we have, of course, Vietnam, and before that, Korea, and before that, World War II, and before that, World War I, and then before that, we had the, the French, the Revolution, the Civil War, the French Indian War, the Revolution. I mean, every single generation in the US, anyway, has had very significant wartime, and every moment that cultivated PTSD in our ancestors, if it wasn't resolved before they died, we would inherit that. So imagine your lineage. Does it go back that far? Does it come from another place that suffered even more? So right now, the way things are hitting us, it is coming up fast and hard for humanity to work out. And I'm starting to recognize that the way that it works out is through us re-experiencing it in certain ways. Now, starseeds, way showers, new paradigm visionaries, we're encoded differently. Our light bodies are encoded differently and we're activated differently than many of our larger human family. And I don't mean that to say that we're special and they're not. No, no, no. We're all divine beings in a biosuit. We're all quantum beings operating a biosuit, navigating this reality. This is true. What the caveat is that some of us have come with the purpose of having the experience of awakening to reality beyond what it has been for many thousands of years. And this is what some people might refer to as ascension or waking up to 5D, stuff like this. And, this language is old language. It's trying to describe waking up to other dimensions of reality and therefore rules of reality, right? And my perception is that we've already existed on these different levels of reality. It's just our awareness of what we were engaged with was harnessed in the language of of the 3D language, right? So there's certain paradigms and understandings that come with the 3D experience. There's certain rules of reality that come with this 3D experience, and if you vary from that, you risk the chance of being pegged as crazy or becoming an exile, or I guess some people prefer to be outliers. I mean, there's always those archetypes within the human experience. But we're here for a purpose, because these times have been talked about for many thousands and thousands of years. I'm talking about these times right now in this reality, what's happening to us as a collective. I had a teacher long ago tell me that, this advancement has happened many times on other planets, other star systems, but this is the first time that it's happening while there's still a population on the planet. So it's a bit of a crapshoot right now. Like, how's it going to turn out? Are we going to roll sevens or what? So there is a mystery involved with what we're going through. At the same time, it's being guided by higher realms. It's being guided by extra dimensional realms beyond just the 3D linear experience. So the nesting dolls that are creating our here and now. Oh, well, hello, Alicia. Oh, that's very sweet. Thank you. Glad you're here. Yeah, and guys, if there's questions or things that come in, definitely put them in the chats. I'll get to it in between pieces. So, all right, where was I at? So there's these nesting dolls of frequencies that we are all nestled inside of, and there's an accumulation of nesting dolls that create this layer of reality. And this layer of reality is made up of photonic organization. It's made up of frequency that turns into light, that turns into geometric form, which turns into form. So there's this graduation through the nesting dolls of becoming more and more dense that bring our reality into being. But if we were to remove some of those nesting dolls, we could potentially experience our reality. We can experience our reality as simply photonic existence. But in order to do that, many people either need to be in such a deep altered state, or not in their bodies at all, or not or non-corporeal all the way. So there is a lot happening right now, and it's intense. And from what I can tell from our dear sister Starshine Ray Ellen, our resident astrologer, it's going to keep on going for a while. We have until we might have a little lull at the end of summer. So I'm sharing this information not to say, oh no, this is why everything sucks. No. I'm just wanting to give you guys something to touch on why it's so intense. Our deepest fears are coming up. We're being faced with our foundations getting rocked. That's because these old structures, these old Saturn structures, are falling away. I've talked about this many, many, many times over. So the structures that are falling away are the ones of our government, education, our financial system, our military system, our farming system, our medicine. You know, these are all major structures that have a lot of power or had a lot of power in this reality, and they are all getting challenged. And what does not move forward into the new paradigm is going to fall away. Now, this means a lot of suffering in between, right? In between this change. These extremes energetically that are happening in these outer nesting dolls that are having a much quicker impact in the 3D reality create a lot of stress on our system, creates a lot of stress in our biosuit. So it's not just the PTSD, it's also the mental emotional relationship we have to these realities, right? So there's a lot that requires our spiritual strength, our spiritual courage. And again, I'm going to reiterate, this is why we are here. This is why you are here. This is why I'm here. We are encoded to navigate these things. But what I would like to also say about this is that, I just hit a button. Sorry guys, I just hit a button here. I didn't mean to. It shared some kind of link. I don't know what it shared. Oh, good, Tony. Glad you made it. Oh, okay. So, dear sister Alicia is asking some interesting questions. It's actually right up the alley of where I was at, speaking to this intensity. So, right. What one might consider disorders are also going to be heightened right now. A dear Starshine here at the house, that's kind of like a caretaker here, has bipolar, I'm told bipolar issues, they call it. And, he has a circle of friends that really care about him. And it seems like they're able to find something through help of friends, connection, social support, and support on how to have a path of taking things that are natural to help regulate the brain, have really worked for him. That's not to say you don't have your ups and downs. I imagine they would still exist. So I just share that just to highlight the point that when you're dealing with disorders like this, sometimes it's a lot more than just a biochemical thing. There's a social connection thing that also is very, very necessary. Feeling at home, feeling connected, feeling seen, having companionship, stuff like this also helps with the dysregulation that occurs. PTSD could also go right along with bipolar disorder. Sometimes one is the cause of the other. So, there's a lot to explore with that. I would, recommend finding a holistic practitioner or a doctor of Chinese medicine, a really good one, an actual doctor of Chinese medicine, the one that can do herbs, energy medicine, and acupuncture to help regulate. We all have some very challenges that are very, very unique to us, right? So it's not easy, and it's not going to be, and I'm not going to paint a rosy picture that it will be. It's like I said, these times right now require our courage, require our willingness to show up, have our pain, have what's there, and then keep moving forward no matter what. Just keep moving forward. Yes, things are going to really suck, and then they're going to suck less, and then they're going to get amazing, and then somewhere in the journey you're going to have some moments of miraculousness, but then it'll go back to sucking again. So don't have expectations. Don't feel like because you do your spiritual work that you're entitled to anything, because that's not how it works. There's this really interesting article I posted a while back, many years ago, actually, when we were a lot more active in the Rise of the Multidimensional Human Facebook group. And it was about mental illness and neurosis, based on the idea that if you pray regularly and you are a faithful servant of your God, spiritual practice, or whatever, that would guarantee that you're protected or not going to suffer like others do. Okay. And, in the multidimensional landscape of things, that is not true. That is not true at all, because there are things in our Akasha that have to get worked out. Is it going to get worked out with grace and ease and beauty and softness? You decide. But what I've noticed in my own world, when it's something that needs to get worked out, because we do a lot of personal work already, it's going to get worked out. However, it's going to come forward. There's no guarantee that it's going to feel great. There's no guarantee at all about anything. It's just that it's here because it's in your soul blueprint to show up this way. Your light body has within it the map of your growth, the map of you, how you will get sick, the map of how you're going to journey towards your death. Okay, so this map, you're born with it, and you can heal and reinform the map if you're doing really deep work as you walk this life. You can transcend and transform lots of lifetimes of pain and suffering and other sorts of things, other sorts of hindrances in this life. But you're here to work out what you're here to work out, whether it's painful or stressful or not, or sucks or not, right? All depends on your relationship to these changes. Okay. For example, truth. Truth is a powerful, powerful awakener. And a lot of people don't want to hear the truth. They don't want the truth. They much rather be placated to or whatever, because the truth is too uncomfortable. So that means that their relationship to the truth, when it finally reveals itself, chances are they're going to have a scathing response. It's going to be a scathing, painful truth. We all have it. No one is exempt from these kinds of experiences, because that's the transformation that's happening right now. Truth is winning out. Now, it's going to be a bumpy journey getting to the truth, but it is happening. It is certainly happening. All right, let me keep going. I'm going off to left field. I want to make sure I get these points in this hour. All right, let me go back to where I was with these, the transformation. So for those of you that know me or have more experience with me, you'll know that when I speak truth as a love language, it's like I go through the effort of being really honest and truthful, because it's part of how I share, support, and love another. Because I personally want to hear the truth more than anything else. It needs to be the truth. And if the truth is spoken and it's a real truth, the reason why I favor this is because when it's a real truth, I become liberated. It's like, it might hurt a little bit. It might be like, ouch. Sometimes it's way worse, but it may hurt a little bit. But after that hurt and I get on the other side, I am relieved. I am grateful. I get there that much more quickly. Okay. And that's why I operate that way. I'm doing the same favor as I'm asking others to do for me. Now, some people may not want that. So in which case, we're not going to stay in each other's world for very long. But if you are hearing a truth, or a truth is being weaponized, so let's start with the weaponized truth. Truth is weaponized to inspire more fear. And how it gets weaponized is that it gets put in a certain kind of way that's meant to be hurtful, that's meant to cause harm. So, for example, this person is just being on their oblivious whatever, and you come in and you want to, get control or do whatever in that situation, and you use truth to shock them and hurt them, right? Knowing that they were not in right relationship, right? So that's how it can be used as a weapon. Collectively, we're working out all this stuff because the twisted truths, distorted truths have been weaponized as well. And that's why we're so confused. We don't actually sense the truth a lot of times in our bodies because of the distortions, the weaponization, and then also, of course, the PTSD that I was mentioning earlier. There's also ways to use truth to open people up to their fears. And when people are open up to their fears, they are very controllable. It's very easy to control what their next move is going to be. And actually, this is where I want to dive into to some very specific things that we can do to that we can listen for when we're getting manipulated. Okay, when we're being manipulated. So, I'm sorry, I didn't finish the thought with Alicia. So, and that is mania linked to spiritual awakening? You know, it can be a way to break family patterns. It can be. So same thing with autism and Down syndrome and all sorts of things, because what it does is kind of gives you a license to operate outside the confines of social norms and programming. But when it comes to generally mental health, the Western model and idea is not one that's very helpful. If I were seeking relief to something, to disorders like this, I would seek out shamanic intervention, or combined with Chinese medicine, just because the Western system that we have doesn't really do anything as far as nurturing one's body, soul, nurturing mind and emotions. It's all about the meds, talk therapy and meds. And that really doesn't get anybody into a transcendent place when they're dealing with really intense disorders. Okay, so with that said, as the transformation on this planet moves forward and the energies shift, the magnetics are going to shift. And that definitely causes problems within our biosuit, because our biosuit also is electromagnetic. And when there's a significant enough magnetic shift around us, it's going to impact our thoughts, feelings, and emotions and physical well-being. So having a practice that aligns your magnetism is a really great thing to do. Earthing, for example, wonderful thing. I heard this very interesting, or I saw this very interesting article where someone was saying that earthing could be dangerous to your health and listed the reasons why. And I've vetted that research, and there are some exceptions, but very few. And, I would say, if you have trees, walk in nature, the earthing can really help you. Anything that depletes the excess ions in your system is worthwhile. So I know there's some really interesting jive going on about, earthing not being good for you. And basically the thought is that when you have dirty electricity accumulating in the ground, that it can transfer to you if you're on the ground. So, for example, there's certain neighborhoods where all the electrical wiring is in the ground. It's not in poles above. And they're citing that as an example. But that doesn't necessarily fly for me, only because when you have a meter and you watch what a person's biofield does when they touch even just a leaf on a tree, it instantly starts to shift and release its built up positive ions. So I feel like there is a very interesting agenda to create a lot of confusion within the technological world. And then So let me get to this other piece here. Going back to the technological reality that there is. Technological reality would be you go online, you research, you get a gist of a bunch of information, and you process it. And what I have found, whether it's intuitive or intellectual or whatever, what I have found is that the technical reality is very, very different in frequency than the non-technical reality. And it'd be nice if they can go hand in hand and together create a picture of truth, because truth liberates, right? But because of the surveillance capitalism is the dominant force online, we're never going to be able to get to a truth, a real truth, an awakening truth through the technical portal that we have here that we call our computer, iPad, phone, right? And this is because surveillance capitalism is the way that all information is being presented to you. Okay, whether it be on YouTube or Rumble or Facebook or Twitter or just a Google search, all of it is curated by an algorithmic matrix that has the priority of that surveillance capitalism priority. Now, let me explain for a minute surveillance capitalism, what that is. Because most of us, especially those of us that grew up in an analog world, non-technological world, most of us don't compute what that actually means. It's because it's a highly, well, it evolved. It's evolved faster than we have, right? So we can still exist in our world without embracing this advanced technology. The younger ones are embracing this technology and are finding out the pitfalls. A great example is my kids. My kids are in their mid-20s. I mean, there's an entire movement of, are they Gen Zers? Can't remember if they're Gen Zs or what, but younger ones that that practice mindfully not to use social media. They don't go on social media. They purposely stay away from it. They seek out alternatives. And this is one of the reasons why things like Reddit and Substack have grown. It's because it's a way to engage without the algorithmic influence. Not to say those still aren't echo chambers. They can be, but it's more governed by what you pick and choose and how you engage. It's a little bit different. It's not there to sell you things. Who knows? That could change. And plus, usually you're in communication with folks in a similar area of interest, and you have endless input to anybody's article. Okay, so that's a little bit different than social media. In regular social media, I mean, it's still considered social media, but the kind of social media that us older people use. And I'll say it like that. So here's the thing, and I think later on I'll post a video so you guys can, a couple videos in the Rise of the Multidimensional Human group. It's on Facebook, so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Back in 2005, there was a great TED Talk done by a former news reporter for NBC. I can't remember her name right now, but I'll be posting that. And this is about the art of astroturfing. So astroturfing, what this is that it creates what seems like it's online. It seems like an online grassroots movement about something, but it's actually all paid, contrived information and people. It's all bot farms, click farms. It's all Facebook. It's all different profiles ran by paid marketing professionals, and it's used to create this grassroots endorsement of something. Now, most commonly, especially back in 2005, it would be stuff around medications. So even Wikipedia is in on this too. They did a study, actually, the same TED Talk. She mentioned a study where they were comparing Wikipedia information was 90% in contradiction to the actual medical research. So if you looked up any kind of ailment on Wikipedia, 90% of the information there was inaccurate and was shown by looking up the actual medical research, not the AstroTurf paid bot advertising and stuff like this. And it was 90% in contradiction. Now that's a huge number. And this is back in 2005. And so what happens is that you'll do a Google search, you'll go to WebMD, you'll go to all these different sources to research something, and it'll show that, this, and this, but everything that you're shown is about selling you something, getting you to get a subscription to something, getting you to go to the doctor and get prescribed a drug. Okay. Nothing is actually the real information about that topic. And that, guys, is very, very scary. I use an alternative browser. I don't use Google. And when I research something, the information that I get is completely different than what I would get if I Googled it. And what I would get in those two searches is completely different than if I use a chat bot to search the internet and do research. So I'll have three drastically different collections of data sets depending on what search engine I'm using, whether it be ChatGTP or Chatbox or Google or Brave or, well, DuckDuckGo now is owned by Google, but it'll be completely different. So this tells me that this technical reality that we're engaging with is over the top curated. It's not about truth at all. It's about managing creating a response and then directing your response to a click. That's surveillance capitalism. They started off as how to optimize Google searches to make Google searching Google easier. And then over the years, as they studied this information, they realized there's all these subtle things within the way you search that tells you a lot about you. So there's over, I believe the number was, for a 12-year-old in today's world, by time they're 12, they have over 7 million data points. The system, the algorithmic system, whether it be social media, Google, or otherwise, has over 7 million data points on that 12-year-old. They have studied that 12-year-old in their development, and they can predict 99.9% accuracy how this 12-year-old is going to respond with a certain kind of stimuli, with a certain kind of data. Okay? It's not just 12-year-olds, folks. It's all of us. They study us to the T. These data collection machines study us so much. We have millions upon millions upon millions of data sets to reference us, even to the point of holographic replication that are out there in the digital realm, that they know so well that they can predict to 99% accuracy how we are going to respond to, say, a social media post that comes onto our wall, or an ad that comes into our email, or what kind of information might we be seeking next. I heard a really, really great story the other day. A dear brother Starseed shared with me that, so one of the things that I recommend for people to do is, it's using a micro amount of borax in water to help dissolve nanotechnologies that are assembling in the system. And so I talked to the Starshine. Him and his wife go and get the borax, and they get home from the store, and on their, I'm not sure if it was a smart TV or what, I think it was a smart TV. Now they are getting all these recommendations to watch videos on YouTube on all the different ways you can use borax. Okay. They just went to this, they didn't use it before or anything. They go to the store, buy it once. And now, because they bought that at a store, a brick and mortar store, right? Paid with a credit card or whatever, their TV now knows, their smart TV now knows that they will likely be needing to know the different applications of borax. Okay? That's it. That's how it goes. That's not even high tech, that part. Services like that are about, I think, $7,000 to $10,000 a year. If you want your product to be linked to people's activity, someone Googles something and you will be notified, and then you have a bot set up to send them a series of emails. So when you Google something, when you search for something, they know who you are. They know your address. They know your habits. They have millions of data points that can algorithmically predict what you're going to need, what you're going to want, what kinds of coupons to send to you. Okay. Now, we started to see this with grocery stores, right? But it's very, very advanced now. It's not something, it's not a rudimentary thing at all. It's very, very advanced. And now it's also moving into our media space, even more so. And I'm going to say our government space as well. I don't know if you guys realize that the root meaning of governance is control. It's all government is AKA control. So of course they're going to embrace the principles of surveillance capitalism to help very accurately predict how people will be swayed in a particular direction. And this is why I feel like a lot of people didn't like this comment and probably still won't like this comment. But I was feeling like this last election was the problem reaction solution that people were keeping their eye out for. It's just we never seen it in the form of an election before. Okay. Problem reaction solution is when there's a dire problem that is created. There's a dire problem that is created. It's created with the solution already waiting in the wings. So a dire problem is created. Then the people get outraged and demand a solution. And of course, they conveniently offer that solution that they've already had planned in the first place. Okay. That's problem reaction solution strategy. This is something that if you guys want to do research, David Icke talks a lot about to nauseum. But if you really want to deep dive into all the different documented problem reaction solution cases that there have been in the past, he's a great source to check out. And of course, I think he's banned from YouTube, so you probably will find interviews with him on Rumble. Anyway, getting back to problem reaction solution, I feel like was that 2024 election. It was already in the plan for the current president to take seat. All this other stuff are games, and if you look at all the different narratives and games, they are playing the astroturfing textbook. It's a playbook, and they are going play by play over and over and over again with pretty much every narrative that's in these factions, left, right, or center. Now, center is a little bit more docile, but center people in the center are not immune. I mean, we get attacked all the time because we refuse to take a side, and then people take offense that we refuse to take a side, and that must mean ... right? It's like, no, actually, it's because what I actually see going on is beyond something that I could explain to you. That's why I'm choosing the simple words. I'm in the center, you know. Anyway, let me get to it. Let me get to some of the signs, some of the textbook indicators that you are getting astroturfed. Okay. Now, when I say you are getting astroturfed, I'm talking about you are doing research on something, you're looking something up, and there's a series of articles, videos, and other information that you're being exposed to in response to your search. Okay, so now there are words that you can quote from from an AstroTurf article. Yeah, actually I got to touch base on that too. Yeah, because a lot of us don't use ChatGPT or anything like it, so we don't understand its benefit. I've been playing around with it, and it is definitely a powerful tool, especially for coaches and other sorts of people who have nurturing sequences online or have a lot of online content that they provide, whether it be reels or posts or emails or whatever. So it is a really powerful tool that's being used throughout many sectors, even writing books, like writing self-help books, writing, you know what I mean? There's a lot there that's in the power of AI. One of the things that people do is they take their written material and then clean it up through AI. You know, that's one of the very popular things. But you can ask AI to do searches. You can ask. They have actual AI attorneys that you can inquire with. And you have to, of course, cultivate your bot. It's not like it's just going to know all these things. You have to kind of train the bot by engaging with it. All right. So some of the indications of information that is specifically astroturfing. And remember, astroturfing is paid information done by a person paid to put that information out there, paid to speak positively about something or paid to speak negatively about something, but is presenting as if it's a normal human being with a profile. Okay. So some of the words, specific words used in astroturfing material is quacks. People are called quacks. People are called conspiracy theorists. People are called nuts. People are, lies are revealed. People are, they refer to the other camp as paranoid. or people are accused of being pseudo doctors, pseudo intellectual, pseudo researcher. Okay. Those specific words, 99% of the time, are an indicator of an astroturfing piece of information. And this doesn't matter if you get it from Wikipedia or Google or a Reddit site or whatever. It doesn't matter. These words are, this inflammatory language is meant to trigger something in you. It is artfully used. It is used in a way that they, to specifically elicit outrage, indignation, stuff like this. And even if you don't click on something that has this kind of inflammatory information on it, it still impacts you, because outrage, indignation, righteousness, that is a chemical response in your brain. And I don't know if you guys know this, but your pleasure response and your pain response in the brain are the same region. Okay. So when you are in outrage, your brain becomes addicted to the dopamine hit that outrage gives you, that righteous indignation, the feeling of that. Your brain becomes addicted to that. And what happens is that as that addiction gets stronger, as you consistently feed that addiction with these articles, with this information, it actually starts to dull your awarenesses, dull your senses, and distort your reality, as in the priorities, the values of, the things that you find valuable and worthwhile start shifting from what used to nourish you to not nourishing anymore. Things that you used to love, you're not interested anymore. You don't want to participate in. And yes, I know this sounds very similar to PTSD. And I have a theory that I think these two things are linked, but that's a side note. Okay, so astroturfers also use other strategies, okay, such as they do an entire piece on debunking something, okay? They often debunk a myth that actually is not a myth in the first place. They create the myth like that's a real thing, and then they debunk it with whatever it is they're trying to get you to sell you or have you click on or trigger a response from you. The other thing they do is they controversialize things. Say something's not controversial. All right, no one really cares about it. How do we make more charge? How do we make this more reactive? They create controversy. They literally create a controversy around things. Now, you guys, I don't know if you guys have seen the different TikTokers, YouTubers, and Instagrammers. These influencers are getting caught causing controversy in one direction or another. They're getting caught lying, faking, falsely displaying things, conveying things, right, to create a controversy, to get clicks. Many of them are paid, some of them by our own government, to do those things. During the La Cucaracha days, many of you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. They're paying influencers to promote stuff and fearmonger. And the other thing, in that strategy, in that playbook, is that they start attacking people who question the authority instead of questioning the authority itself. Now, this is a playbook that I wrote down that has been a reliable playbook that's used over and over and over again. It's washed and repeated over and over and over again for well over a decade. Okay, so this, in a lot of ways, is old news. It might be new news to you because now you see the perspective that it's starting to present. But it's really, really important for us starseeds and new paradigm visionaries that, especially when things really get rocking, I mean, if it's not intense enough, right? That we raise our bar of discernment of what we're willing to engage with, okay? There's a dear starshine that's in close proximity that luckily he's not super into the politics, but he definitely shares the moral outrage of the narrative. So I get like the echo of them, and it's pretty funny because I hear it, and then I'll just start asking questions about it, and then there's no answer to those questions, and then they're not getting satisfied anymore because I'm not outraged. Instead, I'm questioning. I'm asking good questions because I don't believe anything from anybody anymore. Which is sad. I used to be very naive, and I would believe people. I really believed that people wanted to tell the truth. People were naturally honest and all this stuff. But it took me a while to understand that no, most people are not like that. That is not what they're interested in. They're interested in getting what they need, whether that need be validation, control, taking advantage of. You know what I mean? It's like I'm so far away from that way of thinking, I don't even understand it. And because of that, I had blinders that's the way that people would be interacting. Okay. Anyway, so that's coming down. I'm sure that's coming down for you guys. So that bar needs to get lifted. So this is to help us manage and self-regulate well all this ancestral PTSD comes up. Okay, all this stuff comes up, even that addiction to outrage, that is part of the of what we need to face to liberate ourselves, okay, from these manipulations that are stemming out of the technical reality. Now, learning how to come into right relationship with technical reality is part of the evolution of our consciousness. I mentioned this in the chat last week that there is indigenous lore that tells us that the technical age was coming. Even the scholars, very interesting scholars of the Mayan calendar, have also verified in their in how they were looking at that, studying that body of work, that the technological underworld that humanity was to face started unfolding in 1999. So we are 26 years into the unfolding of this underworld of how to come in right relationship with high level technical intelligence, technical reality. And it's a rocky road for sure, but us way showers, we really need to be the model. All right, we're holding the energy within ourselves, anchoring in how to be in right relationship with this technology. And this technology goes beyond surveillance capitalism. It also goes into wireless, the wireless body area network technology, which I talk about in some other videos. Really, the videos that don't go on YouTube or get cut off in YouTube are they're in Rumble, so you'll be able to get the information in Rumble. Our channel is Light Body Global Academy in Rumble. But so the wireless technology that we have. So there's EMF, there's RF radio frequencies, there's dirty electricity, there's Wi-Fi, 3G, 4G, 5G. We have lots of wireless ambient electricity moving through the airwaves, frequencies moving through the airwaves. And this has a profound impact as well on our nervous system, on the health of our biosuit, but also how our brains process data. So these fields, if you have PTSD, can trigger that stuff. These fields can also trigger confusion by altering or weakening the electromagnetic field of our physical body and how our brain works. These nesting dolls of frequencies interact with nanoparticles, nanomaterials. So that also has its influence. And this is why I'm making this video for you guys, that I see coming a very significant need to level the bar up of our discernment for our own sanity, right? And, I find that there is a lot of relief that comes with being in community. Now, I don't mean community like people who are toxic. No. Get those out of your life. Let those people fall away, right? I'm talking about community where people are in resonance with you, right? Community where you guys can just talk about anything and discover something or feel good or supported, validated, heard, things like that. Our toxic relationships, it's constant invalidation. It's constant, it's just, right? So no, let those go away. They're going to fall away. It might be hurtful. It might be all those things, but let that fall away, because like I said, that bar discernment is lifting, and we need to do what we need to do to maintain harmonics around us. So community is a major piece to harmonics for many of us. And I mean, you guys, if you compare what I'm saying now to what I said 3-4 years ago, I mean, this is night and day. I've been a hermit. That's how my reality management was based on solitude. But now there's this total 180 happening, and I'm realizing that now moving forward, I really need to be in community. I need to be interacting with people, new people, old people, and reconnecting with old circles of people. And it's uncomfortable, but that's something that I feel compelled to do. So I'm going to do that. And I have a feeling you guys too. We may be anchoring intelligence and frequencies within us in this reality, but it's also helpful for us to interact authentically with other groups so we can build that resonance, because we are here to take over. We are here to take over as those old systems fall away. Okay? We are here to anchor and take over as those old systems fall away. So that doesn't mean we need to be a part of fighting the system. We are here to be in the embodiment of the new. That's what we're here for. Okay? Let me know if this is something that resonates for you. Okay. So the technical revolution is here. Being an outlier, being absent of it is maybe not the way to navigate, because we need to be a part of the solution, which means we need to engage our imagination, our creativity, our level of consciousness needs to be engaged with these facets as they unfold, because we transform and transmute as we engage with our authenticity, with our spirit. Okay. We have the capacity to transform, transmute, and integrate so much more than the average Joe because of our awareness, because of how we're encoded. Okay. And this is, for many of us, that's our service to humanity. I mean, for others, that's just a facet of our service to humanity. We are choosing our path, of course. So, oh boy, time just flies by, doesn't it? I mean, am I reading that right? Oh my goodness. Time just flies by. Hello, dear sister Laura. Welcome. All right. So here we go. This is in conclusion, right? The bar is being lifted. I gave you guys some very specific red flags that tell you that the manipulative astroturfing surveillance capitalism playbook is at play with whatever information you're engaging with in your online research. Okay. Hopefully you guys wrote that, can write that down or make note of it and apply it. It doesn't matter if it's political, scientific, medical, social, it doesn't matter. This playbook works on all those different aspects. So keep an eye out. Keep an eye out for that, and then it'll help put that in perspective. You can avoid the experience of outrage or righteous indignation, or whatever the trigger response is. You can avoid that as soon as you recognize these words. And I warn you, it's going to be really disappointing, because I have some favorite podcasters that I've listened to that use these strategies. Okay. So I take everything with what they're saying with a grain of salt at that point. And I really scrutinize the proof that they are presenting, And the other thing I do is I see what I'm feeling in my body when I'm listening. Do I feel relieved after having listened to the podcast or whatever, read the article or whatever? Do I have a sense of relief, or do I have a sense of stress boiling up, right? Is there a tightness in my chest or my throat? Stuff like this. So how you feel is part of your truth compass when you're vetting out data. Okay. Whew. So if you have any questions about that, definitely send us a line. The best way to get a hold of us, or the best way to ask questions for us to talk about them in the chats, is to email us at wecare@lightbodyacademy.com. And also, if you go to our website, lightbodyacademy.com, there's a wonderful blog that talks about all these different it's a New Paradigm Chronicles, where we go into all this information. Also, if you are interested in really cultivating yourself as an empathic ninja, right? Ninja warrior, because it's the times that we're coming into require a lot of courage and strength. So if you feel like you'd like to have support on how to build a strong energy field, how to maintain boundaries, how to navigate the world from perhaps maybe a burden empath of your sensitivities into a ninja with your sensitivities, I highly encourage you guys to check out our Light Body Essentials subscription. This is 3 meetings a month where we tackle different facets of what it is to walk with multidimensional sovereignty, including but not exclusive to how to deal with your empathic data sets, how to deal with the world as a sensitive, as an empath. So we go into very, very effective practices on keeping good energetic hygiene and healthy boundaries without shielding, healthy boundaries, keeping you engaged in your system in an alchemical way. And then we also explore a lot on tracking, shamanic tracking, multidimensional tracking, how to use your perceptions to accurately track energy back to its source, or to something that you're resolving, unraveling within yourself. And then, of course, there is the downloads, the quantum downloads, the quantum activations, where we open up the fields in such a way where you can download really potent, well-cultivated encodements for your own light body to assist you in your journey forward into this new world. And when I say new world, I'm not talking about new world order. I'm not talking about new earth necessarily. What I'm talking about is the new reality that we create as the Homo luminous beings that we're becoming. So thank you, everybody, for your valuable and precious attention over this hour. I'm deeply honored to have you listen. Please, with this video, like, subscribe, share, help people find it. We don't really go by we don't really worship the algorithm gods, so to speak. Everything we do is organic. We do zero advertising. You know what I mean? Everything is just word of mouth. So you can help us with that word of mouth by sharing the video and making comments to the final product once it's posted on Rumble. All right. So with that, thank you, everybody, for being here. I hope you guys are able to make it a great week. And if there's something you want to make sure that I talk about, definitely shoot us an email and I will work it in. Thank you. Much love to you all. Bye-bye.